The hottest show of the summer is here for us, ladies and gentlemen. SummerSlam 2024 in Cleveland, Ohio. It's match card and predictions time. Myself and NXT are in the hot seat giving our predictions. But first off, here is the match card. There is indeed their SummerSlam 2024 and NXT. Welcome to the show. First question for you: what are your excitement levels between 1 and 10 for this show?
Dude, pretty gassed. I mean, it's a stacked card. We've got 6 titles on the line. That's a shocker. I mean, a show that has more than 5 matches as well seems like a bit of a shocker. I think they can't wait for SummerSlam 2 nights to come early enough, apparently.
It seems like it. They've got a 3-hour kickoff they're going to do as well. I mean, it's going to be a long old sit through that. I think I'm going to skip that one. I'm not going to lie to you.
Just the like that. That's just a screw with AEW collision. I got a feeling about that.
But yeah, I feel the same as you. I mean, there's 7 matches on this show. There's some big high-profile ones as well. Some we've been building to for a very long time as well. Obviously, the likes of CM Punk versus Drew since January. We've been building since that. Rhea and Liv kind of been the same. Obviously, we've got Cody versus Solo, which hopefully could maybe have a big return. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to be one of our big hooks of this one. Will Roman Reigns return? That'll be the main event of our stream today. But levels between 1 and 10 then. Give us a number.
Oh, dude, I'd have to say 9. I think the quality is in there to be a killer show. And, even just from the match card alone, the match card is solid. Like, I can't find flaw with any of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, maybe in 10 years' time, and I sit there and look back and be like, oh, Nia Jax versus Bayley, that's probably trash. But, at this present minute, the way they're both being booked, dude, this is a solid card.
It is a solid card from top to bottom. I'm a 9 out of 10 as well for you. I was tempted to do the old classic Sean Spears or Ty Dillinger back in the day. They were the perfect 10, but I'll stick with a 9 just to have that little window open just in case that disappointment can creep in, you know. But for me, I'm going to stick with the 9. Like I said, there's matches here that I'm looking forward to from top to bottom. Even the undercard looks strong and solid for me, which I suppose leads me then to the next question: which match are you most looking forward to?
Oh, dude, I think it'd be stupid not to say Punk versus Drew. It kind of has the most heat going into it. But Sami Bron, I think, has the potential to be an absolute killer. I think if they build on their previous match and they don't get the ending wrong this time, it should be really good.
Yeah, I feel the same. Look, I don't want to be a broken record and copy. I'm really excited for Liv versus Rhea as well, to be honest. But Punk versus Drew, we did our half-year awards. We said it's been the feud of the year so far. Obviously, Punk's not been able to wrestle. It's his first televised singles match back in WWE in over 10 years. So, I mean, how can you not be gassed for that match? But okay, let's change up because we usually get asked this every PLE. What match do you think will be the best match on the show?
Oh, dude. What do you mean from, though, in terms of story, in terms of wrestling? Because I think you're going to get a mixture of everything on this show. I think if you're in terms of a wrestling match, Gunther versus Priest has the potential to be an absolute killer. Story, though, I think it still has to be Drew versus Punk.
I mean, story-wise, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the thing is, stories sometimes can make the matches as well. It's just what we think will be match of the night, I suppose, is coming out of this. You know, like what's that talking about? Is that I can't wait to talk about that match when we get to the review, obviously on Sunday. I'm going to say for me, I do think actually a match that has the potential to steal the show, like you say, Priest versus Gunther is certainly up there. There's not a bad Gunther match out there, but just to be different, because I'd like to be different on this one. I'm going to say Sami Zayn, Bron Breakker. I think this time they will go further and steal the show even more. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say, because obviously last time Money in the Bank, a lot of people were upset with the result. Could be a bit different this time around. But shout out, by the way, to Shane, who was very early into the house, by the way. He says SummerSlam cannot come soon enough, which is great to see. And honestly, we want to know everyone's predictions. So let us know yours in there. Get involved and let us know what you want to say, and we'll bring it up on screen during the video. But NXT, what would you like to say before we kick in with our first match?
I'm on the same level as that. Like, as soon as the pay-per-view ends, I'm kind of counting down the days to the next one at the minute. Like, I don't know, it's really strange that I know it's only 3 weeks apart, but it feels like forever, and I'm kind of anticipated and excited to actually see SummerSlam. Like, dude, it's been years since I felt like this about WWE, so I really can't complain.
I mean, I feel the same. And do you know what? I'm going to sound a bit. It's the most excited I've been for a SummerSlam. SummerSlam used to be my favorite show growing up. I used to love it more than any other pay per view. But over the sort of last like 10, 15 years, I still enjoy it. Still get hyped for it. But it's kind of been, few and far between where I get that hyped for it. But this year, I genuinely feel like this has the potential to be up there in the top 5 SummerSlams of all time. If it all connects the way that I think it can do, we'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be very exciting stuff indeed. But let's get in with a match. I think that's always a good way to go. It's a predictions video. That's what you're all here for. So let's get our first match on the screen that we'll be discussing here today. And I mentioned it could be one that could steal the show. It's for the Intercontinental Championship, a rematch for Money in the Bank. It is Sami Zayn taking on Bron Breakker. Now, of course, Sami Zayn did pick up the victory at Money in the Bank, and he did retain that championship. And Bron Breakker has said that he did kind of take Sami lightly. He said that I see Sami's doing this comedy show, the Sami Zayn and Friends show, and pretty much said I basically facing a comic. That's what I thought, and I sort of underestimated him. He got through it at the end of the day, and Sami's responded and said, "Well, yeah, I'm going to do that this time as well, but I did it last time and I won last time." But Bron Breakker is ensured that the last laugh will be his and the joke will be on Sami. He's attacked Sami every occasion he can do. He's put Sami down week in and week out, with the exception of Monday Night Raw. Sami felt it was coming, got the better of Bron Breakker, even hitting a form of a hoover kick that wasn't in the corner, which Bron struggled to get over the top rope to the floor, but did it eventually. What's been your thoughts of the build here for this one, and how do you see it playing out?
This one, kind of, I have the least to say about it because it's so self-explanatory and in some ways almost feels like it's righting a wrong in a lot of people's eyes, because obviously, like you said, Sami picked up that win at Money in the Bank and everyone felt it should have gone the other way. But I think we've got to that point now where I apologise for my noisy neighbours with the motorbikes going past, douchebags. But this one I feel is really self-explanatory, and I think that Bron's promo on Raw Monday pretty much summed up how this one's going to go. I mean, yes, Sami has obviously just he only just won the title off of Gunther at WrestleMania, but the way they've been booking Bron since he's come up, it kind of feels like the IC title is the next big thing for him. It's going to be the thing that pushes him on to being a big star this year. Like I've said many times in previous live streams, Bron and I think Tiffany Stratton can have absolute breakout years this year. And if you want to do it, and if you want to have them be in some sort of decent spotlight by the time you get around to Mania next year, early prediction, dude, I think Bron's going to win this.
Yeah, do you know what? There's not so much more to add on to the match itself. I think the match is going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be better than Money in the Bank. In fact, there's a solid match at Money in the Bank, to be honest. But I think it'll be better here. I think it is Bron's time. I think I feel that WWE have delayed that moment for him to win because they wanted to win on a big show. SummerSlam is going to be more remembered in a stadium show than Money in the Bank. And obviously it was in Canada, so they gave Sami the hometown win. This time it's the rematch. They've not involved anybody else when there was a time when other people were in on the mix. So, and Ilya Dragunov was sniffing around as well. Could have been someone that could have been involved with this, but I think that's going to be delayed to another day. Hence another reason why I agree with you. Bron Breakker's going to win here. I think Bron Breakker will break off, unintended, to have a feud with Ilya Dragunov after this going to Bash in Berlin, because of course Dragunov, although from Moscow, I believe family is residing in Germany, so a good excuse to get him on the show that way. Ludwig Kaiser could return from injury as well to be in and around that picture, because I believe Bron was part of the reason he's been put on the shelf as well, so keep an eye out for that one. It could be a nice little triple threat match. For Sami Zayn, look, the Intercontinental Championship has been brilliant for him up and since WrestleMania. Great how he ended Gunther's run as the longest reigning IC champion, but I think it's time for Sami to do other things. He's had some great matches with Chad Gable, Bron Breakker, but hey, he won in a tag team with Jey Uso against the Judgment Day recently on Monday Night Raw, and the Judgment Day have already turned their focus to Sami Zayn on this week, which makes me think we're already starting to look ahead. I think Jey and Sami could be going for those tag team titles, potentially could even win them, and this could be their way back into a storyline with the Bloodline, because I think initially they will be on a Judgment Day in the Judgment Day split up. It's going to be a split up. Early predictions, something we'll be talking about later in the video, but I think Sami and Jay will be aligned with the breakup of when it will be Damian and Rhea. Doesn't necessarily say either are losing on this show, but however, I do think they'll be on team against the other members of the new Judgment Day, which will feature Liv Morgan's crew, and I think then that will lead to, once they've finished that off, Sami and Jay can go off in the Bloodline stuff, because I do think that when we do get Bloodline versus Bloodline, Sami will return and be the honorary Uso once again.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you dropped this theory on me Sunday when we did the Q&A, and it all just makes sense. I imagine that's what they're going to do. And yeah, I mean, you kind of need to free up the IC title to really just keep the rest of the roster or the rest of the mid card doing something for the foreseeable future. You can't really have the IC title tied up in what eventually is going to be probably a bloodline civil war kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm excited that that's a possibility. Like, just hopefully it all just plays out and comes true.
Absolutely. Of course, we had the big announcement. We've got 2 new Avenger movies on the way in the world of Marvel. WWE's going to have their own version of it with Bloodline Civil War. And of course, Sami is a key component of that over the years and would need to make a big return, almost like Robert Downey Jr. But hey, enough of that. We'll move on in the meantime. We'll just go into the comments very quickly before we do. Big Daz Reynolds in the house. This is how many matches here? 7 matches in total. We've just covered the first one there, Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker. So strap yourself in and get involved with the rest of the predictions with us, because anyone who wants to share their predictions in the comments below, we will bring them up on screen. Any questions regarding the matches we're talking about as well, we're happy to answer those as well. But if you enjoyed the video so far, we're 11 minutes in. Hit that like button as well, share with a friend, and subscribe as well if you're new here. And believe it or not, those little details, by just liking, commenting, they add a lot to the video. It spreads it out to the YouTube world, and before you know it, we could be quite busy in here. We've got Pierre in house who's just dropped in as well. Good to see you, Pierre. Thank you for coming and joining us. And we've got Wrestling Shane. He says, I miss Sami Uso. As do I. And I think it will be something coming back in the future. But let's move on into match number 2. And like I say, we're going with the undercard to start things off, and then we'll work our way up into some of the bigger matches. So second off here will be for the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley, of course, has been the champion since WrestleMania. Will be taking on Nia Jax, who won Queen of the Ring to get this opportunity. Of course, Nia has been attacking Bayley on several occasions since then. And of course, she's aligned herself with one Tiffany Stratton, of course, who's won the Women's Money in the Bank briefcase this year. Bayley has destroyed that briefcase. She's got a friendship with Naomi and also with Meet Chin as well, who have been kind of allies with Bayley throughout this in mixtural tag team matches. But it looks like Nia has had a lot of the advantage going into this. I suppose the big question is, will we get a brand new WWE Women's Champion, or is Bayley going to succeed and remain champion for another day?
The thing is that the whole emphasis about SummerSlam, like 2 of these matches were that your King and Queen of the Ring winners were going to get title shots. I find it hard to believe that they would have one or the other win the tournament and not pick up a title at this show. But my only thing is that since Bayley's won this title since Mania, she's only had 2 title defenses, one in a triple threat against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton, and the other was Clash at the Castle against Piper Niven. And you look at it and you're kind of like, they're not exactly the biggest of opponents that could logically, storytelling wise, be a real challenger for the title. Nia is kind of that first big challenge since Bayley won that championship, and it kind of splits my opinion, because I'm like, well, this is Bayley's first real big title defense, really, because Tiffany was obviously, do you know what I mean, knew him when she had the triple threat with Naomi. Naomi again had no real heat going into that triple threat where there was a likelihood she could win it. Piper, let's be honest, Piper unfortunately got the shot because it was in Scotland. Even though she had a great display, it kind of was self-explanatory. So that's going to be the real test here. But like I said, with everything going on with this match, my head tells me that Nia should win this title right here. But again, the fact that she's only had it, Bayley's only had it since Mania, and to be fair, this causes a lot of problems with a few of these matches, that all these titles changes like Bayley, Sami, Cody. These are all titles that changed at WrestleMania. And you kind of sit there and think, right, is it the time? If any of these are going to change hands, I'm expecting the IC title to change hand. And WWE aren't famously known for having more than like maybe 2 titles change hand on the night. So this one really throws booking into a pickle for me, and I'm kind of stuck with it. I mean, if I had to say someone, I think Bayley's going to retain, because I think the story coming out of it is probably a bigger deal because you've obviously got Tiffany with that Money in the Bank briefcase, and you've got Nia, who's like they're kind of like best friends now. I mean, we still haven't seen SmackDown yet, because obviously this is pre-taped before SmackDown, so we don't know what their story is going to be going into the weekend, coming out of the weekend. But I think if I had to say, I'd say Bayley's got to retain. But my only worry is that if Bayley does retain, there's not a lot of big heels on SmackDown that can be a next challenger, unless you're going to bring back someone like a Charlotte Flair.
Funnily, you mentioned Charlotte Flair because she's involved in my predictions. So,
Oh, really?
she is, yeah. So this is we're going to talk about some surprises, returns, all that stuff as well. We may even go for a quick fire of some of the names if they don't get mentioned in the stream at the end. Will they return? Just go yes or no. But I don't think Charlotte Flair. She looks set to go from the footage that she's releasing. She looks ready, in my opinion, and I can see her coming back because obviously Michin has done. I want to say a big shout out to Michin because she's done great work, and the relevancy she's got herself back in the SmackDown and get to a SmackDown main event is awesome. But unfortunately, I think Bayley needs more backup than what she's getting when it comes to Nia and Tiffany Stratton. And I think it's going to play out with this match because I agree with something you said. You can't have King and Queen in the ring, give them title shots, and then they both lose. And I think, judging on it, it's hard to tell what the match order is going to be at this stage, but I would have a feeling this match will be earlier of the 2 on the card.
Yeah,
for that reason, I'm going to say that I think Nia Jax is going to win to put the precedent on can Gunther do it later in the evening. So I'm going to say Nia Jax does it. And I think there's going to be a moment in this match, which, of course, is part of the fun with this. Tiffany Stratton is women's Money in the Bank. Is she going to cash in? Is she not? That's going to lead to a bit of friction and stuff and question marks in itself. And I have a feeling that there could be a bit of an extra beatdown after the match when Tiffany realizes that she shouldn't cash in on Nia Jax. And I think that's when we get the return of the Queen, Charlotte Flair. I think that it helps to have a tag team rivalry going on. You can also do a rematch with Bayley and Nia Jax. And then for Nia Jax, who is a heel champion, like you say, there isn't that many heels to go off other than those 2 at the moment, properly on SmackDown as proper contenders. There's a lot of baby faces, though. If Charlotte Flair was a baby face, Bayley remains a babyface. You can do Flair versus Jax. You can do Naomi. You've got Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill waiting in the wings as well. For me, it just makes a lot more sense to have heel champion Nia Jax at this stage. And I think when the time is right, Tiffany can have the gold, but I don't think that time is yet. I'd like to see her have a long run with that Money in the Bank, and I think she still has to bring in that new Money in the Bank briefcase. And I think maybe at SummerSlam could be the place she brings it in. If not the week after on SmackDown. I'd like for just the close off the Bayley stuff just for the moment. It would be cool for me if she had the damaged briefcase on this Saturday and then do it afterwards. But I'm going to go for Nia Jax to win the championship.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's really hard to call. And it's like, I don't really want, this is what I'm saying, I don't really want Bayley's first stumbling block to be like, first sort of real genuine contender to be the person she loses it to. It's really hard to, I suppose in some ways that's a good thing, because I'd rather go in like really 50-50 with a lot of these matches than kind of like, wow, 100% this person's winning it. So I suppose in some ways it's a good thing. I'm glad you've honestly picked Nia, because I expect Nia will win this as well. Like I said, without seeing SmackDown, it's hard to tell. I think if we'd have seen SmackDown this week, it probably would have given me a bigger indication. And it's going to come to Saturday. I'm going to watch SmackDown. I'm going to be like, okay, this is who's going to win now. But yeah, I just find it hard to believe Bayley would lose to her first real challenger for that title. Bearing in mind she's only had it since April, and that's for 3 months, and it's kind of like a really short reign. And if you're going to have Sami lose the IC title, and he's had it for 3 months. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them things, unfortunately.
Yeah, I see your point with that one. I do see it indeed. But let's see what the chat are saying. Daz asking if SmackDown will be live or pre-taped this week. It is going to be live, and Shane has also answered that as well. Yes, it will be live 24 hours before we do get to the show. Daz has gone for Bayley to retain, so I'm currently outnumbered at this particular moment. Pierre says, I think we can all agree right now Raw is superior than SmackDown. What do you think the problem is for SmackDown? I suppose some of the storylines. I think also lack of star power. I think, honestly, it's hard to go in without mentioning some names at the moment because I want to save it to the end of the video. But I think the star power will be coming back soon, put it that way.
For me, I think it's the stories at the minute. I think I'm so invested in Raw. SmackDown has some good stories, but like I've said the last couple of weeks that Raw has like 3 or 4 stories I'm so heavily invested in now, and I just cannot wait to watch Raw on a Monday night.
I think some of the biggest stars currently are on Raw as well. You know, we talk about like CM Punk versus Drew. You've got Liv and Rhea. You've had, you know, all that sort of stuff going on over there. And then obviously in SmackDown, some of the biggest storylines that main evented have been like Grayson Waller, Austin Theory stuff. And don't get me wrong, it's an okay storyline, but it's not. You know, it wouldn't main event the Raw segments. Do you know what I mean? That would be the filler in the second hour. So I think that's the difference between the two shows. If I was to do it in a quick format.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going back to this whole Nia thing. So, do you know what? I just had a quick look while you was talking. These two have never had a one-on-one match for a title since NXT back in 2016.
Amazing.
And I thought they'd had more than that, if I'm honest with you. Especially when Nia won the title, I would have thought these two would have had a hell of a lot more one-on-one matches. But yeah, apparently they haven't had a one-on-one match for a title since 2016. Crazy. I know Bayley was taken out by Nia in 2019, which of course peeling back the curtain, making reference to that in an interview segment between the two. But I always found that a bit weird. You took me out and you cost me the spot. Well, yeah, of course, that's what the rest of them would normally do. But of course, we know the thing with kayfabe and for real. Anyway, PS says, what do you think the problem with Cody Rhodes' title reign? I think the problem why Cody Rhodes doesn't make SmackDown interesting and good is because Cody doesn't have interesting opponents with a depth story. And that's why after SummerSlam, if Cody retained, we need Randy Orton to turn heel and have a Randy versus Cody feud. Does go on to say as well, a couple more comments quickly. I think SmackDown needs a main solo heel, Randy Orton, because on Raw we have Drew McIntyre and SmackDown doesn't have that main solo heel, that's Solo Sikoa. But he can't wait for Randy to betray Cody and feud for the title. So I'm guessing Pierre is going to actually say that Cody is retaining the championship. I just want to say very quickly, unfortunately, I'm going to be in the minority. I know a lot of people on X and stuff don't like Cody's title reign. I actually don't have a problem with it. I think that the AJ feud was fine for me, and the Logan Paul one was okay. I think the thing is, a lot of shows built within 3 weeks, and Cody is on every show. I think that's, you know, you have to build a story and build it quickly. I think that's why a lot of people with the issues. Not enough time to breathe. Where you've seen Cody and Drew breathe, you've seen Liv and Rhea play the long haul. Cody's stories have been quite short, so you know, that I think that's what it's led to. At least with Solo, it's been building now for 6 weeks. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I would say as well is that Cody has just come off a hell of a story that's been a 2-year process from the moment he returned to winning that title. And you are essentially now trying to keep his momentum high with some sort of story when he's just come off that fantastic story. And it's like, I don't know about you, but after Mania, I was kind of burnt out, and I was like, oh my god, I'm just like so burnt out from like so much decent product that they've put out. And I think for me that's the one. I said I think it's the story. You've come off 2 years of great storytelling. He's had that moment, and it's kind of like you now have to find out where he's going. And obviously they had the whole thing with The Rock. Then what was it, the night after Mania, and it's kind of like they've dropped. Do you know what I mean? They've dropped this tiny little piece of a story that we're still waiting for, and it's kind of like it's just. I think for me, it's waiting for that story to pick back up again.
I think so as well. I mean, obviously, like you said, The Rock versus Cody was a story that is the match we all want. You'd imagine a rematch with Cody and Roman potentially would have been a match people would have wanted to have seen one more time as well. So I think those are like big hitter matches. You mentioned Randy Orton in that comment section as well. Obviously, it's a match we would all like to see. Randy's teased it a few times, but I think they're waiting for the right time. I think perhaps the autumn season could be the right time, but I think time will tell, and it we'll probably have more to discuss on it as the video goes on. If you enjoyed it so far, hit the like button, share with a friend. If you're new here, please subscribe. We're trying to build the viewership as we go through the video, and you know what, we're doing a good job of it so far. And let's get a few more comments in as well to help that algorithm. Daz asking, will Seth call Drew versus Punk right down the middle? I'll tell you what, Daz, let's talk about it, shall we? Let's get that match up for us next. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, Seth freaking Rollins, the special guest referee. CM Punk's first televised, yes, Dave Meltzer, televised WWE match in over 10 years. I mean, this one has been building since, well, CM Punk returned, really, from last year's Survivor Series at the start of the year, but it's intensified since. But the Survivor Series last year, Drew McIntyre apparently walked out after CM Punk made his return, was really upset about it. And then the Royal Rumble came around, and that's when CM Punk got injured, of course, at the hands of Drew McIntyre. Drew prayed for this moment to happen, that CM Punk will get hurt, because he kind of felt that he was going to steal his WrestleMania moment. In the end, Drew was in CM Punk's shoes against, fun enough, the special guest referee, Seth freaking Rollins. Of course, Drew did win the title, and then he got a little bit cocky with CM Punk was on commentary. It ended up being to the point that CM Punk cost him with one arm, and of course, it was cashed in on by Damian Priest. There's been occasions since that Drew was trying to get himself back in the title picture. CM Punk cost him on the Raw after Mania. Then he got his championship match at Glasgow, Scotland, of course, at Clash at the Castle, his home country. And of course, CM Punk cost him in his home country. Come to Money in the Bank, and Drew wins Money in the Bank, again saying ahead of time what he's going to do. Drew, why do that? Because, of course, he made his match a triple threat match with Seth and Damian Priest at Money in the Bank, which, of course, means no disqualification. CM Punk got straight involved and cost Drew the briefcase, but, of course, in turn, cost Seth freaking Rollins at the same time, because Damian Priest walked away still the champion. Of course, Seth did have some words for this on Raw with CM Punk, and of course had some words with Drew McIntyre as well. Drew McIntyre's upset a few referees as well, to the point no referee wants to get involved with this match. CM Punk has been cleared to return to action, and Seth Rollins has been made the special guest referee. And of course, as expected with Seth Rollins, with his wardrobe, has a funky style referee jersey to go with it. He did explain the way he wants the rules to be on Monday Night Raw, and of course, Punk versus Drew were not allowed to touch each other, but they will be allowed to get physical Saturday in Cleveland. Your thoughts on the build of CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth as the referee?
Dude, this is like the most intense storyline I've seen in forever. Like, in terms of the match itself, the hardest match to call for me, because there's so many like faux pas that WWE do that made me think that it should go one way, but then the story obviously tells you that it should go another way. And again, like I said a little while ago, the fact that I'm going in 50-50 to most of these shows, I think is going to make this even better for me, because now you had Seth Rollins as a special guest referee. It just, honestly, anything can go wrong now with this. Anything can happen, which means something is bound to go wrong, and someone is going to get cost this match here. I just honestly, off the top of my head, I cannot think of a logical reason, booking, method as to how. I mean, my guess is just my prediction is just a guess. Like, I could not honestly tell you. Normally, like I said, I'm normally quite certain that this person's going to win, this person's going to win. But generally, dude, split down the middle, cannot tell you. This rivalry has just been great. Like you mentioned, all the story beats that we've already had, Money in the Bank, Clash at the Castle, Raw after Mania, Mania itself. It's just been a fantastic build. It even goes back to Rumble, dude. Obviously, Drew was the reason Punk got injured, the reason why he was out for 7 months. So, yeah, it's like, this is a proper blood rivalry. And, like, I'm expecting blood this Saturday in this match. I'm expecting just pure chaos. Like, the fact that Seth had even, he in his promo on Raw, he said that if I want to count to 10, I'm going to count to 10. If I'm going to count to 20, I'm going to count to 20. Like, he is, I think he's going to be so lenient that this is just going to turn out to be an absolute slobber knocker, as JR would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I must admit, I wasn't a fan of Seth's promo on Raw, where he was like, "You'll tap out when I tell you to tap out." I was just like, "Yeah, if they quit, Seth, just ring the bell, mate." Like, it's going to be a long show as it is. Like, I don't need you dragging it out further. Like, I don't need no 20 counts either. But I get his point. He's going to make it kind of a bit. Like you say, he could be very lenient. He's going to let some of the rules go, but he's probably going to lay down the law. And he said that people have to do what he says. So the question mark is who's going to kind of buckle first with that, because Drew's wanted Seth on side because they both dislike CM Punk, but Seth has reminded him that he dislikes Drew as much as CM Punk as well. So will Seth call this right down the middle is what Daz asked a minute ago, and the question for me being answered is initially yes, but of course it's not going to happen in the end. There's going to be something. Seth is in this match to delay this further. Having a clean match, a clean finish arguably ends the feud. It keeps Punk and Drew ticking further, and arguably it keeps a Seth feud with someone else further down the line as well. So I have seen a lot of people suggest stuff online. I can't take credit for seeing it first or saying it first, but as soon as I saw it, I thought it made a ton of sense, and I think it's exactly how it's going to play out, because you knew Seth is going to cost somebody the match. So my expectation is we go a little flashback, if you don't mind. And for those who remember SummerSlam 1997, will remember a main event of Bret the Hitman Hart versus The Undertaker for the championship. And Shawn Michaels was the special guest referee. Shawn was not getting on with either guy at the time. In fact, he feuded with both of them after this show. Actually led to the Montreal Screwjob, if those remember correctly. But of course, on the show itself, both were... antagonizing Shawn during the match, but they got to a point where Bret in particular was really unhappy with Shawn. Shawn had a steel chair in his hand. Can't remember the reason why, but Bret Hart spat in Shawn's face to the point that Shawn got really upset, swung the chair at Bret Hart, missed, hit the Undertaker, and then had to reluctantly count a 1, 2, 3 count. So Bret actually won the match, even though it spat in Shawn Michaels' face. So yeah, that's the sort of thing I could see going down here. Because, for example, if I put that into today's standards or today's wrestlers, Drew can be the one that can be antagonistic for a lot of the match, but CM Punk is someone that's trying not to get antagonistic with Rollins. He sort of said it on Raw, like, I will if you screw me, but you've not screwed me yet. And I think there could be a scenario where it's Punk that's going to be the one that's going to be at the receiving end of something. And I think it's going to lead to Drew picking up the victory. Remember as well, Seth has said previously that the actions that CM Punk did at Money in the Bank will have consequences. So I have a feeling that Punk is going to be costing this match. Drew will pick up the victory because then Drew can then gloat. He can finally get that big win on the PLE, which he's been missing for quite a while. I know he's won a Money in the Bank, but then he lost later in the night, won at WrestleMania, lost it 5 minutes later. This will be a definitive win where it can't be taken away from him a few seconds later. Drew can actually go to the next show and say, I told you I'd beat Punk. I knew I'd get it done. It rolls over. Punk then can get his revenge in a proper match with these two, either at Bash in Berlin or more than likely Bad Blood. Hell in a Cell, please. And in the meantime, we can then have a moment where CM Punk says, look, you screwed me, didn't you, Rollins? Wait till the time's right. I'm going to deal with Drew first. I'm going to come back for you. And say it's Royal Rumble time. Whenever it is that Rollins gets that championship match, Punk's going to screw him. And we're going to get Rollins versus Punk at WrestleMania next year. So for now, to get to that point, Drew's winning here.
I totally agree with what you say, but my problem is the time frame of it, because by that logic, you're telling me that Priest is going to be champion by Rumble, or if not, he is going to have, depending on who is champion at that point, Seth's going to be in that moment at Rumble where he's going to get that opportunity. That's the hardest part I find to believe in it at the minute. Not saying it couldn't happen, it very well could have. But, again, going back to my faux pas thing, this is CM Punk's first one-on-one singles match, televised. It's a very big no-no. Like, it doesn't happen where a guy debuts or a guy returns and they lose their first one-on-one match. And the fact this is what Punk's second televised match after the Royal Rumble, I find it so hard to believe that they have Punk lose this. I agree with everything you said, but I can't see Punk losing. But, dude, like I said, it's so hard. Do you know what? I'm going to be different, and I'm going to say Punk wins.
I like it.
Just because in that way, one of us is bound to get it right. Yours, don't get me wrong, everything you said makes perfect logical sense. The storytelling, the booking, the narrative, everything. But I just can't help thinking that you have Punk lose his first singles match back. I can't see it physically happening until Saturday, when it probably will happen.
There you go. We'll have to wait and see. Just to stress, by the way, I don't have Priest still as the champion by the Royal Rumble. Make it through SummerSlam. We're going to find out in about 10 minutes' time when I get to that match. It's I do think when Rollins says that, it's the Mania. That's why I've said around there. It could be before. I don't know. But I think Punk versus Drew goes to Bad Blood. I think another reason that Drew wins this one is because the second Punk gets that victory, he gets that armband back. And I think that's going to be the moment that feud is.
You're right. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I forgot that bracelet was a thing, and that's going to be the most important thing. And if Seth screws Punk over, I imagine if Priest walks away from SummerSlam, he'll get a match somewhere, maybe on Raw, because I can't imagine him at Berlin. Maybe, but I imagine that's where Punk will then screw Seth over for his title match, and I think that's how that logically works. So you're right, it probably is going to be Drew. I'm still going to stick with Punk though, just because I'm right some of the times when I come up with these crazy predictions. So I'm going to say Punk wins.
You're right quite a bit of the time. We'll have to wait and see. I like when we go different. I think that's the way to go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's always a good way to be. Let's go into the comments section. Two-Sweet Carl from On The Mark Wrestling Podcast in the house. His predictions of SummerSlam with the OTM crew will be live tonight. They usually do his first show on Thursday. It's on Tuesday, so make sure to subscribe to On The Mark Wrestling Podcast at the end of this video. Also, we did a Q&A last week as well, so you can check out that one as well. All SummerSlam questions. But he says, I keep going back and forth with this one. It's hard to pick confidently since it's Punk's first match in 10 years, but I think Drew needs it more. He certainly does.
Yeah, Drew hasn't won I can't remember last time Drew won a pay-per-view match apart from Mania. I don't think he's won one since, has he?
Well, he won Money in the Bank, but then he lost the briefcase about 15-20 minutes later.
Yeah.
So
but that's, everything else he's lost. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Every victory comes with defeat literally seconds later. So it says, are you a fan of two-night SummerSlams, which will be from 2026? Abso-freaking-lutely. I think the big shows should be. And you've been saying it for years, haven't you?
Yes, absolutely. All the big four should be two-night events.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. Yes, and as Two Guys does say so. No, it is not StreamYard background music, but it is background music. But I'll let you know where it's from. It's from Artlist. That's where it's from. So yeah, that's what I've got in the background here. You did suggest as well, Kyle, the Bad Blood Hell in a Cell match needs to happen. It certainly does indeed. Roger in house as well. Hope you're doing well, Roger. Says I think CM Punk will win. So there's another vote for CM Punk there. Tiswick will be actually in attendance, by the way, in Cleveland, along with the Wrestling Junkies as well. It says I'll be wearing a Punk shirt and Punk shorts, so you know who I'm rooting for. But my pick, guess everyone can find out on his show. Absolutely, do the cheap plug. We're here, all here for it. But he says, what if Punk is the one who splits or antagonizes Rollins? Rollins tries to hit him, avoid, and he accidentally hits Drew, and Drew gets screwed again. That's the thing. On the flip side, it totally would be fine and would make sense as well, because it makes sense to the storyline as well there, because of the fact that Drew has been getting, it's been the year of let's screw Drew McIntyre.
No, I'm so glad Carl's put that now, because it makes me feel better about picking CM Punk now. The fact that there is a logical reason to it happening, dude. I'm so glad someone backs me up on that. Yeah, like I said, there's just so many possibilities. Like, dude, and I'm like, everyone's obviously famously mentioned was it SummerSlam '97 with the whole Shawn Michaels thing, and I'm like. And I was thinking, literally, as we were talking, I'm thinking, dude, can somebody do a Montreal screw job on this? Like, can somebody screw someone and just do a fast count? Is there a possibility that no one wins?
It could happen. We're not sure. All I'm going to say is Drew's been screwed more times than the porn star this year. So, he's planned to get his luck somewhere, isn't he? Tisha says, I think I just convinced myself, let's go NXT. So there you go.
Yes, 100%.
in cahoots together there. Zayn says, I think AJ Elite will interfere and help CM Punk win. Could you imagine? It'll be a big one, wouldn't it? And Wrestling Shane is so split on this match. Love, though, that you still commented to let us know, even though it's not dedicated one way. But I like it. You've got time. Keep the option open. We've got till Saturday to get that prediction in. Well, I think that's all we've got to say on the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match. I've got to say that was a fascinating one to go through. One that could be just as interesting will be for the United States Championship. Logan Paul, Cleveland's Logan Paul, defending against LA Knight. Yeah. LA Knight pretty much has been on the train for the last year or so with the WWE crew behind him. Obviously, this has sort of started with LA Knight wanting the United States Championship, saying Logan's not around enough. He's gone to his house, sunbathed by the pool. Logan Paul actually came in, asked him to leave. He just left. Didn't push him in the pool. Bit disappointed about that. Still will not drop it. He should have gone in the pool. But either way, LA Knight left the house. And of course, they have had a Money in the Bank qualifying match. These two involved with Santos Escobar. LA Knight did pick up a pinfall victory over Logan Paul, which set this match up basically for SummerSlam. And of course, these two did have an altercation last week on SmackDown, which Logan Paul had the best of. But Logan Paul, of course, will be having a homecoming segment on SmackDown this upcoming week. And Steve, your thoughts of Logan Paul versus LA Knight? Yeah.
Again, another tough one to kind of book logically, because, you know, hometown hero normally loses, which means LA Knight should be winning this. And don't get me wrong, he won the title last November. He's defended the thing 3 times in nearly almost a calendar year. It kind of feels like now is the right time that he should be losing this title. LA Knight kind of seems like the guy that should be winning it. Although, I don't really want to go with the same faux pas, same tropes that WWE normally do with the hometown hero loses, but it kind of makes sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, he got to win at WrestleMania. I suppose losing it in Cleveland at SummerSlam wouldn't be the worst thing to happen to Logan Paul. It kind of would fit in with just how everything's going. I mean, I think that SmackDown is desperately crying for that US title to be around a hell of a lot more than what it currently is. I think that's the thing that's irritating me most about it. It's just, again, another hard one to call, because it's just one of them things, like hometown hero versus 3 title defenses in almost a calendar year, and it's like, which way are you going to go with it?
It's an interesting one, because obviously it's a feud. I think it's been so-so. I think it's been okay. I think it's been a bit safe, which is a shame, because I thought these two had a really hot interaction when they had Money in the Bank in 2023. I thought their exchanges on the mic then were really, really good, and I was like, really hyped for the match. I have said for I don't know how long on this channel, LA Knight's the guy taking the title off Logan Paul, and I stick by that, but I don't think it's at SummerSlam. I think it's a Bad Blood. I have a feeling that Logan Paul is going to have his homecoming, which means that's going to go wrong for him. LA Knight's going to ruin that for him, which then, of course, if we go into the classic WWE booking, which, of course, is classic, doesn't work every time, but it more than not, the person that has the advantage on the go-home show doesn't usually win on the premium live event. So if LA Knight has the momentum on Friday, it means Logan Paul's going to win on Saturday, which I think a lot of people would be upset about. However, as I said, Bad Blood, I think, is going to be an appropriately named show when they come around to it. So I think a lot of feuds that are taking place here are going to culminate at that show. And I think this could be one of them. So for that reason, I'm going to say Logan Paul retains here, which is going to upset quite a lot of people.
I was expecting you, honestly, to say LA Knight. I'm actually shocked that you've gone with Logan Paul. I, too, am going with Logan Paul, but my theory was that Logan Paul is probably going to win via a screwy decision, knuckle dusters, whatever.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say that Knight gets his rematch probably on SmackDown next Friday, and that's where Logan Paul loses it. Because I don't think I don't think they want another 7 matches going on for Bad Blood. So I think you can't put all of these matches on that card. So I'm thinking, I could be wrong. They might very well may do, but it's like you've got Berlin in between and stuff. It may, I think it could even be sooner than that, but I'm going to go the same as you. I think Logan Paul retains and LA Knight picks up within the next 2 pay-per-views.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like you said, it's a screwy win as well. It's not going to be like a clean victory for Logan Paul here. Like Knuckle Duster, it seems like the most obvious one. His entourage could be something that can help him as well. So I think it's enough to get the numbers advantage and just to get Logan the win here. The reason I've said Bad Blood purely is because I think Bash in Berlin, currently in my head, we've already said I've gone Bron Breakker to win. I think it's Breakker versus Dragunov for the IC title there. And because the mid-card titles usually have alternate shows a lot of the time, IC's had more love than the US title, but I think it's usually more alternate. So I would say that, the IC title is defended in Berlin. I think the United States Championship will change hands in the United States. So that's going to be my call for that. But I have to wait and see how it will go down. Shall we go to the comments?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's go to the comments indeed. And of course, we've got to start with a simple, we have to start with it. It's just there, isn't it? Shane's given his prediction. Going to say Drew McIntyre to beat CM Punk there for us. Sid saying LA Knight should win. The Gravy Train finish at Logan Paul has been United States champion for far too long. Agree, has been far too long. I just think we'll have to wait a little bit longer. But LA Knight very popular though. Daz picking LA Knight, and Shane says gonna have LA Knight. He will defend it frequently and bring prestige back to it. That's a really good point being brought up there from Shane, by the way. Do you feel that prestige has been dropped in the United States Championship where it's not been defended as much by Logan Paul? Is it just a prop now for Impulsive and outside of WWE?
I think since Mania, the ball has fallen. They've dropped the ball with the United States title. Whether it's because Logan Paul has got too many commitments outside of WWE, which is fine, but then you shouldn't be putting a title on him like that, because automatically everyone just goes back to when Brock Lesnar was Universal Champion and he's just not around. And he's your world title, and he's your world champion, and he's not here. And then it goes back to like the IC title not being on pay-per-views for like nearly 2 years straight. And then they need to stop doing these kind of things. But I think it's only been since Mania that they've dropped the ball with it. I
think so as well, yeah. And I think the title does need to come back to a full-time performer. But yeah, I hope LA Knight wins, by the way. Just because I predict one doesn't mean I don't want LA Knight to win. I want LA Knight to win. But
the thing is LA Knight, everyone wants him to win something, and he's winning the matches he doesn't need to win, and he's losing the matches he needs to win. And it's just like everyone's just waiting for that moment where he wins the title, or he wins the Money in the Bank, or he does something where like they can finally start doing something with him and possibly pushing towards the main event scene.
Absolutely. Roger here now says to us, I would like to see LA Knight cut a promo for the match. So you're not facing LA Knight, you're facing Eli Drake. Dummy. Yeah. TNA Invasion, everybody. SummerSlam. If only. Do you know what? I feel really bad because you brought up a point to me before we went on stream. It's regarding Seth Freakin Rollins as a special guest referee. Totally forgot to mention it during the match. So I'm going to bring it up here now and talk about it just before we go to our next match, because it wasn't so far away and so long ago. You may mention that Dave Meltzer actually said that Seth Rollins' outlandish outfit last night on Raw was not a good fit for a deadly serious feud with Punk and Drew McIntyre. There's a part of me, and I don't care, but there's a part of me when it comes out like that and I'm going like this is a deadly serious program and he's making it comedy. I don't think it was the right match to do the gimmick, but he did. So Meltzer clearly was not a fan of the referee outfit and says that this was pretty much a bit of a joke on a serious feud. Do you agree with those comments, that sentiment? Or surely we all knew Seth Rollins was going to have a gimmicky referee shirt.
Everyone's looking forward to it. I think it just must be a Meltzer thing, because dude, he was world champion for like nearly a year, and his gimmick was wearing outlandish ring attire and outlandish costumes every single week he was on TV, every single pay-per-view. Because he's a referee, he can't change, he can't carry on being the same person he's been for the last like 2 years. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, what, you just want him to come out in generic like black trousers with a black and white pinstripe top? It doesn't make sense. Everyone, if anything, it would look wrong for him to come out in generic ref attire.
Absolutely. Although it looks good on the thumbnail, by the way. Just as I couldn't get the funky, outlandish outfit he had to put on the thumbnail, but certainly think that I agree with you. Like, we was all expecting. You commented it last week on the video we were doing, and we're looking forward to it. I thought it was going to be fun. Yeah. He's meant to have a bad wardrobe. That's the point of it. I understand the idea of like being comedy in this, but that's Seth Rollins' shtick, and he is a part of this story. He's been involved in this story since March.
But ignore the whole point that it's a wrestling gimmick. Imagine this was a real person, and do you know what I mean? They're involved in a serious situation like this. You're expecting them to change who they are because of the situation they're in. That doesn't work like that. That's like me. It's like, dude, I wear wrestling t-shirts. I'm not bothered by it. I go out every day wearing them. It's kind of like if I only wore them around the house and had to not wear them when I go out, it's not who I am. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wear them whenever. It don't bother me.
Absolutely. There you go. Meltzer, well, you know, he has his opinions. He's been in this for a lot longer than we have, but
bro, I guarantee you next week he'll be saying it's a 5-star match. He'll love it. And whatever Seth did, regardless of whatever he's wearing, won't even be in Meltzer's review next week when he goes on and gives this a rating.
I'm sure not. But I tell you what, we're going to move on to our next match in the meantime. We've done 4. We've got 3 to go. Let's go then with Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. This is going to be a big one because this one has been going on since last year as well. Obviously, these two are former tag team champions together, by the way. Liv Morgan was getting too much in Rhea Ripley's business, and Rhea said to butt out. She didn't, so she put Liv Morgan on the shelf for about 6-7 months. Liv Morgan come back, and obviously she wanted to start the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour. She tried to do it the right way, tried to win the Royal Rumble, tried to win the Elimination Chamber, came runner-up in both. Always the bridesmaid and never the bride. Well, until after WrestleMania, of course. She put Rhea Ripley on the shelf, didn't she? Throwing something backstage. That was a trash can or a trash can lid. Can't remember which one it was. Went into Rhea. Of course, was a real-life injury at the time. Rhea had to vacate the championship. Obviously, health and safety of the wrestlers does come first, but it did lead to an opportunity. Liv Morgan, in the meantime, did go on to win the Women's World Championship from Becky Lynch, of course, who initially won the title. So Liv Morgan beating a big star to get that title, and decided that winning the title that Rhea held for that long wasn't enough to complete the tour. She wanted to take everything away from Rhea Ripley. Felt that the Judgment Day was included with that, but certainly was dirty Dominik Mysterio. The eyes of the affection of Liv Morgan kissing Dominik against his will, and of course pretty much just being after him each and every week, saying such lines as, well, you have to call Rhea mummy. I'm quite happy to call you daddy. All those lines were going on, quite sultry, seductive, and it felt like a few weeks ago there was a tag team match going on where they won the match, and I think also it was the first time that Dominik Mysterio had pinned his father, Rey Mysterio, something that Judgment Day couldn't get done previously. Looked like Dom was going to give into the temptation, and just as the moment was just about to click, This Is My Brutality hit just at the right time. Rhea Ripley made a big, monstrous return. And of course, what was the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour turned into the Retreat Tour. She's been backstage for about 3 or 4 weeks, not been anywhere near Rhea Ripley at any time. Well, of course, Rhea's now called it the Redemption or the Brutality Tour, I think is what she's been calling it. Of course, in the meantime, the match has been set for SummerSlam, and of course, Dominik Mysterio has made his feelings quite perfectly clear. Of course, that he wants nothing to do with Liv Morgan. Not sure I believe that. But of course, where Liv Morgan have been doing everything for the Judgment Day, including the likes of, helping Finn and JD win the tag team titles. And of course, as well, helping them have some great things in their clubhouse. For example, PlayStation 5. This past week on Raw, there was a bit of destruction, of course, into that clubhouse. It was completely destroyed. And big shout out to Eric Douglas, by the way, who gave me this image. Of course, from Monday Night Raw this past week. You see all the vandalism there. All of the people have been drawn all over, apart from one. Do you see who's not got their face covered up there? Finn Balor.
I love it.
Cheeky sausage, eh? Because Finn Balor, remember there was a time that Liv Morgan was trying to give Dominik Mysterio that hotel room key. This is a long intro. I understand that, everybody, but I'm getting to the point.
So good,
had the hotel room key. Had the hotel room key, and of course it was put down there on the table. And Dominik didn't want to take it. Carlito was going, "That's cool." And of course, Finn Balor, when no one was looking, took the key, didn't he? Dirty bugger. But of course, I don't think it's what it looks like. I think they've been scheming. That's what it looks like, and that's just a clue that maybe Finn Balor and Liv may just be on the same page after all. Like I said, Liv's helped them win the tag team titles, and on many occasions, Dominik, unbeknown, has kind of walked into Liv's path with a little bit of a wingmanship from Finn Balor. Either way, Dominik Mysterio has now said that he wants Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's happy there. Says he's going to get revenge for destroying the clubhouse. And Liv Morgan has pretty much had a bit of a teary time. She says she's willing to call him daddy, but he's just Rhea's bitch. gonna be interesting. This one at SummerSlam. It's been, in my opinion, it's been a fantastic build. I've enjoyed this one a lot.
Dude, the self-destruction of the Judgment Day, I believe, is imminent. Maybe not so much even the self-destruction, but 1, 2, maybe 3 members will no longer be part of the Judgment Day very soon. I can imagine. Rhea Ripley seems to be the downfall of her own, has caused her own downfall with this one. Since she's returned, all she's done is constantly berated Carlito, and Carlito's been getting on fire with everyone, even Priest. Priest has just been getting on, just letting him just be there. Rhea's had a real problem with him since getting back, and she has essentially become a face, and she is like, don't do this, don't do that. She's become into an annoying stepmother by the looks of it, more than a caring mummy. So she is honestly alienating herself from the group. Dude, Finn, the master manipulator behind the scenes, man. Like I said, there's so much to come out of this show from this story alone, depending on what happens. But I'm so intrigued and so looking forward to it, because someone somewhere has to turn rat and just be like, it was me, Austin. It was me all along. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's Finn, whether it's like Dom, like, don't get me wrong, the promo that Dom did last week when he started just berating Liv Morgan, I genuinely felt so sorry for her, and it was just fantastic TV. And I was like, it gave me flashbacks of Batman Returns, you know, when Catwoman gets thrown out, Selena Kyle gets thrown out the window, and she goes a little bit doolally and becomes Catwoman. I'm like, oh, all you've done is you've just made Liv Morgan angry, and this can only really go one way, and someone's going to get hurt badly. I really should be more invested in this match alone, just because of the story. Like, this has been the best story just for the last few weeks, and I honestly cannot wait for it.
I'm buzzing for this match. I mean, just going through some of the bits there. I know I'm not touched on. I've touched on 90% of what's gone on there. Like you say, since Rhea's come back, Dom's had to fight for the affection again. Like you say, it's been a bit of annoying. Telling people they're idiots. I mean, Dom was like, I wonder who destroyed this clubhouse. She's like, come on, you idiot. You know who's done it. Do you know what I mean? It's Liv Morgan who's done it. Like you say, she's given Carlito some stuff. She said that the Judgment Day need to pull their finger out and deal with some of the problems. Some of the stuff that Damian Priest has done as well recently, where he's turned around and said, like, you know, the group needs him more than he needs them and stuff like that, because he's the champion. So we're writing out that there's clearly a split, and the thing is, it's obvious the split's coming. You can even see it when they enter Monday Night Raw. You've seen the likes of, you know, JD and Finn and Carlito. Well, JD and Finn walking together. Carlito was right in the background, but you know he wants to be welcoming with the guys at the front. Dom's walking in as well, and then you've got Rhea and Priest. So you know that the split's going to be, where's Dom going to go? We know where Carlito will end up. He'll end up with Finn and JD. I do think eventually Dominik will end up on the side of Finn Balor as well. But I don't think it's going to be happening so clear here. I feel, and this is just, I'm going to give the prediction early first here. It's easy to think that Rhea Ripley will just come and win her title back. However, I don't think that's how it's going to go down, and I don't think it makes sense for it to go down. I think Liv Morgan's going to win here, but a little bit different to what a lot of people, I think, are going to say. I think a lot of people are going to say that Dominik Mysterio is going to be the reason that Mummy doesn't win, and I agree with them. But a lot of people are going to predict that Dominik Mysterio does it on purpose. I think Dominik is simply going to screw up, and I think when he screws up, that leads to more friction for the next 3 or 4 weeks. I think it's 4 weeks between SummerSlam and Bash in Berlin. They can do the rematch at Bash. And with all that abuse that Dominik's had, then he'll leave and he'll join Liv Morgan. So I think on this show, Liv Morgan retains. I think the reason is because, well, it's a bit of a miscommunication between Dom and Rhea. Or so we think. It could be all screwed up, but it's going to be made to look like it's an accident on this show and not the big breakup that a lot of people are expecting.
Dude, I am totally 100% in agreement with you. I think Liv retains. That's the guarantee, no matter what. Yeah, Dom is. Do you know what? I'm hoping that the botch, that causes Rhea to lose is a well-planned accident. Like, I really want them to come out like the Raw after Berlin and just be like, same thing. It was me, Austin, all along. And like, if you look at the way Dom's been treated the last like 2-3 weeks by Rhea alone, like she's licked his face live on TV. Do you know what I mean? She's essentially saying, I own you. And I'm sorry, but at some point, someone's got to call someone about this, because this guy is essentially, he's almost like, it's almost like a really bad film where someone has been manipulated into this relationship. It has been the whole time. Let's not forget, Rhea Ripley beat him like within half an inch of his life in front of his own family, and yet he's okay with it. And I think at some point, Dom's just got to snap and realize this woman is not good for me. Liv treated me like, do you know what I mean, a man, and she gave me my dignity back and stuff. And yeah, I hope it's well executed. But I am the same boat as you. Liv Morgan retains this one.
I've mentioned Bad Blood a couple of times on this video. I think Rhea versus Dominik Mysterio is going to be a glorified squash match on Bad Blood.
I hope so. I think
he's going to get absolutely ruined. And I think when it's the crown jewel, that's when we start with Priest and Rhea versus maybe Dom and Liv, or Finn and Liv. It could be that. But yeah, that's what we think with this one. And we're going to combine it in a minute with the World Heavyweight Championship. But let's go to just a couple of comments first. Sid asking where SummerSlam takes place. Right above my head, it's in Cleveland. Cleveland Brown Stadium is going to be taking place. Over 50,000 people expected to be there. Zayn asking, do you think there'll be any returns or debuts at SummerSlam? Do you think there'll be returns? We'll discuss one of them, which Sid was Charlotte Flair, predicting she'll return after the Bayley Nia Jax match. But there are other questionable returns. In the title of this video is Roman Reigns, but we'll be holding our judgment back on that until we get to the Cody solo match. But we have been asked as well about Jordan Grace. Do you think she'll go to WWE or stay with TNA when her contract is up in 2025?
100%. Dude, she's even stated already that WWE is the dream. It's the place where she wants to go. And she has been massively welcomed. She has performed exceptionally since her Rumble appearance at the start of the year. Dude, I guarantee you now, she is signing with WWE next year.
I agree indeed. Let's move on indeed. In the meantime, then, for us, shall we then? We mentioned one of those championships featuring the Judgment Day members. Let's do the other. World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest will be defending his title against the King of the Ring, the King General, Gunther. Tell you what, I can't wait for this match. If you'd have told me this a few months ago, this match was happening at SummerSlam, I was a bit when it was first announced. I don't know why. I think it's because they were both heels, but at the same time, I look back at this and I feel that Damian Priest has been casually put with babyface tones for about since WrestleMania. Yeah. The cash-in was a babyface cash-in. The match he did with Jey Uso was not a babyface move. But then afterwards, he would take on Drew McIntyre, who was a heel in Scotland. He's now taking on the heel in Gunther at SummerSlam. They've been teasing this underlining tones for a while.
Everything he's done, like all Priest wants, like I'll say it again, I now know this is the story. All Priest wants is to retain that title by himself, and Judgment Day just don't want to do it. And that's your babyface story there. The guy wants to prove that he should be world champion. The build, however, for this, I can appreciate it and hate it in the same light. So I can appreciate it in the fact that going into it, it's a bit more 50-50 with who's going to walk out. Because we've been saying for months, Gunther's going to win that at SummerSlam, 100%. Gunther's going to win it. Now we've got to SummerSlam, and I'll give you my points as to why, and this is going to lead into my prediction. Gunther ain't been around, and they ain't done nothing with him. So I was looking earlier. His last match before Raw was King of the Ring when he won the tournament. He's not wrestled in 66 days or 65 days up until yesterday. He's had one match. And it's almost like, to me, they're trying to damage limitation him for his inevitable loss to Priest at SummerSlam.
Oh.
because let's face it, he's had 2 in-ring promos, and he's had 2 video packages, and they've all been within the last 3 weeks. Bearing in mind, we've known he's going to be challenging for 65 days, 66 days now, and they've not done anything to build Gunther up, to make him look like an animal, to make him look like he's going to absolutely destroy Damian Priest come Saturday night. And I think they've done that because Priest is going to retain. And I think that what the plan is for me is that they're going to run this back in Berlin, because I think you mentioned this to me that at some point, and I was like, it makes more sense that they do it that way, because then it comes into the Judgment Day story, and do you know what I mean? It all plays out necessarily where it needs to go in terms of story and stuff. But then the other thing as well, compared to Gunther, Priest has had 5 televised matches since King of the Ring, and he's been on TV every week. Gunther has not been on TV every week, and all his story has been about is the Judgment Day, and it almost feels like Gunther for me is playing this whole title match is just a side note to a completely separate story. And once this match happens, and whatever happens during this match happens, like I said, I think this will lead to a rematch at Berlin, where then Gunther will win this title. And I hate to say it, because, like I said, I want Gunther to be world champion. But again, he does feel like a very small part of a completely different story that's going on. But maybe it's the time for Priest to actually get a win off his own back. Maybe. Who knows? Or better yet, no, he gets someone that he gets interference, he retains, and the first time no one comes to help him is when he defends it against Gunther in Berlin. Gunther absolutely destroys him. Gunther is your new world champion, and Priest and Judgment Day split up from there. It's like I said, this has got pros and cons, but like I said, for 2 completely different reasons. Like I said, I'm a lot more 50-50 now than what I would have said after King of the Ring when Gunther won.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been the same. Obviously, the storyline has been built quite strongly as well. Obviously, with Gunther saying he's been more privileged and stuff than Damian Priest, calling him street trash. Of course, it's actually been really well put together. So it's hit a nerve of a lot of people. A lot of people really got behind Damian Priest with that. You can see the emotion that's kicked in. And obviously, I mean, Gunther, to be fair, he's such a great heel. A lot of people say he's not good on the mic. I disagree, because he's got that smirk that comes behind the things that comes out of his mouth, and they do touch nerves. I think he's been very good at helping Priest develop into this babyface side. I agreed, and the thing is, I thought Gunther was winning the second one, King of the Ring. And I said this earlier in the video, he wants to make it look like King of the Ring, Queen of the Rings are going to win championships. That's why I said I think Nia wins.
Nia wins.
So at least one of them does. Yeah, the thing is, though, when it comes to the men's, I said before that the way the story has been going out, it makes more sense for Priest to retain here, because of the fact that in a screwy finish, because of the fact that he's promised Seth a championship match, even though Seth was not meant to be another championship title. So I think that would happen on a Raw, and I think Punk could be around for that one. Personally, I don't know. It's hard to know if Punk will be around for that or not. He could be, but I'm predicting it will be Gunther Rollins at the Rumble. There we go. I can say it out loud now. I think Gunther will eventually become World Heavyweight Champion. The question is it now or Berlin? The issue I've got is the end of Monday Night Raw. And I said this earlier on in the video, 50-50 booking. The person looks stronger on the Go Home show and it goes off air. Doesn't usually win at the PLE. Priest looks stronger than Gunther. He looked stronger in that moment because he came to defend Finn Balor after that match. And he did look stronger. That made me think, is Gunther actually winning? The thing is, though, I'll try and break this down quickly. If you don't mind, just to go for the segment. Gunther and Balor had their first ever match, ever. And Balor said, I need to do this. I need to do it on my own, like Priest has done. And he's turned around and said that he will do it and he'll leave just enough left for Priest to win on the weekend. Not only did he not leave a little bit for Priest at the weekend, he's got the whole of Gunther to look forward to, because Balor didn't get the job done. In fact, he passed out to the point that Gunther was going to have his way with Balor at the end of the match. That's going to leave a bit of a sore spot for Finn Balor, because Gunther did actually say something earlier in that evening as well when he said, like, Balor, at the time, we expect you to be more than what you are, but you're not what you were, or not what you could have been. You didn't live up to that potential. If Priest wins clean at SummerSlam, or with something a bit screwy, just something that Priest wins and he thinks he wins clean. For example, Gunther gets his foot on the rope, ref doesn't see it, counts the pinfall to 3. we go, oh, what the bloody hell with the finish? But the whole idea is for it to drag over to the next show. Priest thinks he's done it on his own. He hasn't really. But Gunther was down for the free count, for example. Excuse me. You roll over to the next show. In the weeks building up to this rematch, Alan's a bit upset at the idea Priest could get the job done. Priest is still champion. Why is Priest still champion? I couldn't get the job done. And we talked about this idea of the accident earlier in the video of Dominik Mysterio accidentally costing Mummy. So Dominik makes his allegiance clear when it comes to Bash in Berlin with Liv Morgan. And Balor does cost Priest the championship in Berlin. And Gunther wins the title there. Gunther can then win a rematch if you want cleanly. And then obviously Gunther goes off on his way. So I got a feeling, I'm going to say the same as you. I'm going to say Priest retains. But my mind is at a very difficult one working out who's winning this match. This one is 50-50 or 50.5, 49.5.
If I make your logic a bit more sound here, like you obviously said, whoever normally stands tall normally loses.
Yeah.
Gunther just had a match with Finn Balor, so he's obviously fatigued and tired. I can allow Priest standing tall for the fact that Gunther's just had a 25-minute match, however long it was, with Finn Balor, and kind of like he's jumped him, taking advantage of it. I can kind of allow that. Maybe that should be a trope that they finally do break. But yeah, dude, I'm like I said, I'm agreeing with you. Maybe it should be the time that Priest finally gets his clean win over someone without any help. Dude, like this everything Judgment Day at the minute is just so good, and there's so much more to come out of it. And yeah, I'm glad you said Rollins versus Gunther Rumble, because I can see that happening as well. But yeah, logically, it all kind of makes sense that Priest wins this match and retains, and Gunther has to. I don't know. This is what I mean. I think the finish could go either way, clean or screwy. I think there's a narrative to play off both angles, but I'm so looking forward to how this one ends, because this out of everything, this is the story I'm most invested in. This whole Judgment Day implosion, Finn Balor's a rat, Liv Morgan's secretly going to take Mummy's place, Dom's going to, do you know what I mean, leave Rhea for Liv. I'm so invested in it, and I cannot wait for it. And yeah, again, just to go back to my point, like I said, the fact that they haven't hyped Gunther as much, and he's only had one match since King of the Ring. They're doing damage limitations where he's not on TV as much. Like if they'd have put him on TV, if they'd have put him on Raw every week, destroying people, winning matches, come SummerSlam, it'd have been like, oh well, yeah, he's gonna destroy. Maybe they should have done that to make the well. Then again, you can't. That makes Priest look like superhuman if he was to win clean over Gunther at SummerSlam after having 6 matches for the last 6 weeks and winning all of them. So I suppose it kind of almost humanizes him if he's only had one match since. So yeah, again, like I said, damage limitations for Gunther so that when he loses, it won't be as bad. And then I see he goes on to Berlin to win it or whenever.
Absolutely, yeah. And do you know what? I've figured out how it's going to end. I've got my final prediction of how it ends. So I put it on the rope. Remember how Gunther won King of the Ring? The shoulder was up for Randy Orton.
Yeah.
I think the shoulder's going to be up for Gunther, and the referee doesn't see it in the same way. The same way he wins King of the Ring is going to be the same way he loses.
Continuity.
Yeah, because the thing is, Randy and Gunther can't do a rematch at the time because of the fact that they're on different brands. But Priest and Gunther can do a rematch because of it. So, yeah, continuity. I think Gunther's shoulder's going to be up.
Love it. I love it, dude. It plays into that, like, as long as they don't bodge that up, because that's going to be a really hard story beat to tell. And that obviously the point is, it's gonna the positioning, the how it looks, where the referee is. It's gonna have to be a well executed thing. But dude, I love it, and the fact that it plays into, like you said, King of the Ring when Gunther won it, I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I really do. Let's see how it will go, and let's see what our comment section are saying. We've got a bit of variety of questions coming in. First off, Zayn wants to see Punishment Martinez character. Yeah, let's throw back there to Ring of Honor days. Used to like Punishment Martinez back in there. Also, variety of different questions. Now, will we give Charlotte a big pop if she returns? Roger will be. As long as she's heel. I really don't like babyface Charlotte. Unless you can find a new way to reinvent herself that makes her enjoyable as a babyface, I prefer heel Charlotte.
That's fair.
I'll still pop for the return. I'll still pop.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably give a bit of a clap. I'll probably like, yeah, here we go. She's back. Yeah, the thing is, I will be happy she's back because she's a big name for. And we said about SmackDown earlier on compared to Raw. I think SmackDown is lacking a little bit. So I think that's a name for star power that would help the SmackDown Women's Division at the minute. So yeah, I would pop, but I'd pop in my own way if that makes sense. I wouldn't be jumping off of the sofa, but I'd certainly be like, yeah, here we go. She's back. What match are we not looking forward to seeing at SummerSlam? To be honest, no, I'm looking forward to seeing all matches.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing to say that I'm looking forward to seeing all of them. Like, I mean, like I said to you, if we watch this back 10 years later, looking at the card, to me, Bayley versus Nia, Nia obviously has a stigma about her, which she has, for me personally, she has changed my perspective on how she's been doing since her second run there in the company. But like I said, in 10 years' time, my brain will probably forget how good Nia was, and I'll look at it and just be like, that's another Bayley Nia match. I've seen like 400 of them. It's probably going to be okay. But dude, this weekend, honestly, I can't say I'm not looking forward to any of them. I think they're all going to be great.
Looking forward to all of them. If I had to pick a match I'm least looking forward to, because I imagine that's a question that's going to come in 2 seconds, it would be Bayley versus Nia, but I am looking forward to every match. I do think there's a lot I think there's a lot to even look forward to in the match, with the idea of Tiffany with Money in the Bank. We said the idea Charlotte could return. She might not return, but she could return. There is certainly a lot of things that could happen. And if we could make a match for SummerSlam that's not on the card, what would it be? For me, it would be Chad Gable versus Uncle Howdy.
Yeah, the fact that their first match is going to be on a Raw, I think, is almost underwhelming. But see, I was thinking about this as well. What they should really do, because if they're going to have these shows that have only got 5 matches, the Raw and SmackDown either side of the pay-per-view should almost feel like mini pay-per-views, and like everything that's not defended on the main pay-per-view, like tag team titles, for example, should be defended on the Raw and the SmackDown. So yeah, it's like I said, Cable, your idea of Chad Gable versus Howdy, I think probably deserved the pay-per-view spot, but I think they need to really make Raw and SmackDown more special either side of a pay-per-view with stuff like that. But if I was to make one, honestly, I'm just waiting for the DIY Bloodline match. I think that's going to be great.
And that'll be on Friday. Just saying, by the way, there is, I think, a reason why it's been saved for Raw. The White Six match against the Gable Creed brothers match is because it's actually meant to be the same builder that Bray debuted in. So I think that's the reason why they're doing it. Gotcha. So no, it's debut match he had, or debuted in, but probably debuted match. I think it's in the same building. So I think that's the reason why it's going to be there and not SummerSlam. Although there's continuity.
It's not even Howdy, though, is it? It's Loomis, Rowan, and Gacy, isn't it? In the 6-man tag.
Yes. But still White Six. Still White Six. The name's in there. So they've put the link together somehow. But yeah, it should be a fun time when it does happen. Last question before we go on to the main event then. Who would you call up for the main roster to the main roster from NXT right now? If you could pick somebody, who would it be?
Probably Trick or Obafemi.
Like it. I like those choices. Off the top of my head, I mean, Roxanne Perez is the one for me that's most ready. However, there is 3 big matches waiting for her before she gets called up. So, but she is the next one in line for me. But she has matches waiting for her with Stephanie Vacour, which could be happening, or she could show up tonight. We could get Juliet could show up tonight, or we could get Delta that could show up tonight. All expected at the PC anytime now. And of course, Roxanne is taking on Thea Hale, which Great American Bash predictions already on the channel. Go and check them out. But spoiler alert. Save you some time. I predicted Roxanne to win, and Stephanie Vacour to come out afterwards.
No, I changed my answer. Ethan Page, that's the one I want to call it from NXT, because he is too good for NXT, unfortunately. Great that he's champion, but really want him on the main roster as quickly as possible.
He is indeed. I'll tell you what, let's move on to the main event, shall we? Because we're getting time on in this stream now. Let's go for the Undisputed WWE Championship. That's not quite undisputed. It's Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, taking on the new head of the table, the new tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. Looks out to bust out some karaoke for the weekend, doesn't he, with blinding lights wearing that suit, honestly. But yeah, for me, this one, obviously, Cody finished the story, didn't he? He finished the story. He beat Roman Reigns. He won the championship at WrestleMania. And Solo afterwards said, well, again, it's this thing of consequences. He was unhappy. He didn't get the Bloodline locker room. That was Cody's locker room now, and they weren't allowed in it. So he said changes need to be made. So he got rid of Jimmy Uso, and he brought in Tama Tonga. Following that, Tonga Loa was brought in at Backlash. And then we got Jacob Fatu. Bloodline looks quite strong, this new Bloodline now. Solo's been picking up some big wins as well, including pinning Cody Rhodes at Money in the Bank, the champion himself in the 6-man tag team match, and actually made him the #1 contender. Had a wise man for all of this, but Paul Heyman, bless him, at Madison Square Garden, a building he used to sneak into, was put for the announcers table and was written off TV. Solo Sikoa does no longer have a wise man, which means his group are unhinged. They were taking out people left, right, and center. Cody's been hanging on the ropes, watching his friends get taken out. Randy Orton taken out the exact same way that was put on the shelf for 18 months by the Bloodline previously. Kevin Owens also had returned after being away and was put out again as well. Cody Rhodes is on his own. He's got nobody, but he's going against the Bloodline. He's going against Solo Sikoa for the championship. Main event of this show. It's been announced it will main event. We have to talk about it in amongst everything, but there could be some returns in amongst this as well, either during the match or after the match. And of course, the one big name that everyone will be discussing will be Roman Reigns. But before we fully get to that part of it, I think we need to talk about Cody versus Solo. First off, Solo Sikoa, is he ready, in your opinion, to have this spot for the championship?
He's ready for the spot. I don't know if he's ready to win that spot, though.
Agreed.
Like, I think that they've done a really good job in building him up. He's obviously been the silent assassin for the best part of, 2 years when he was rolling with Roman, nearly. Now that they've actually let him have a voice and he can use a microphone and he can do stuff, like I said, I think they've done really well. But I think that it may be too soon. Although, don't get me wrong, this isn't as clear-cut as I'd like to think it is. And saying Cody would, there is like a 3% chance that maybe Solo could win this. I think that there is a possibility, a shock factor, whatever. Like, there's a couple of little things like in or around or outside that may give me a slight possibility that Solo could win this, but my prediction is Cody retains. But it's gonna be an interesting one, because there's even names that I think people are forgetting that could be involved in this.
I like that you said that. You teed it up lovely, beautifully, because I've got a few to throw your way in a minute. First off, though, I'll go with a prediction. Some would suggest that it could be most impactful for a return or a surprise to happen during a match. I am going to say no. I think there'll be some way that Cody will manage to retain, whether simply the Bloodline is just sent to the back. Nick Aldis won't have it, for example, will not allow them to be out. Of course, there'll be a ref bump. Of course, they'll all come out, but I don't know. I have a feeling Cody's going to overcome the odds. I just wonder if, like you said, there's names people are forgetting here. And I think that could be the thing that could lead to a return, because, I mean, no one's talking about The Rock. No one's talking about The Rock at all. And he's finished up filming. He could appear at SummerSlam. I do think he's going to be the WrestleMania opponent for Cody, by the way. I think Cody's going to retain. And I think just something just to help nudge things along for a return of Roman Reigns. Could be seen that The Rock is the one that's helped orchestrate this all along. Maybe it's a bit early, I don't know, but I think there'll be the long-term play. But I think, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I've not given a final prediction yet, but just I'm spitballing ideas at you for the minute.
Can I throw another name at you?
Go for it.
Hikuleo.
I like that. His name has been trademarked for WWE. Can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's definitely got Tonga in it.
Yep. And obviously, he's a possibility now. And yeah, you know, they love doing it on these shows where a random member of the Bloodline likes to appear. Who's not to say that Hikuleo could be a deciding factor? But dude, yeah, I'm going to put this out here now. I don't think Roman returns. I think it's way too early. I don't think he does. I think it's way too early for Roman. I think The Rock is going to return. I'm the same as you. I believe that Cody will somehow manage to scrape through and retain this title, and The Rock will return, and there'll be a face-off between The Rock and Cody at the end of the show. I imagine the show will close with them two doing a face-off. Hopefully, you never know. Fingers crossed. I expect that. Obviously, I dropped the bomb. I mentioned it slightly earlier. You know that there is a story there that hasn't finished. Cody's next opponent is The Rock. And I think Cody will go on to beat The Rock and earn The Rock's respect, which is why we then get a babyface Rock again. And if anything, it will be a case of Cody versus The Rock at, say, for instance, Survivor Series. Cody wins. Those two shake hands. Bloodline jumps The Rock and Cody. Roman Reigns returns. So I think, like, do you know, I'm just spitballing here. Don't quote me on it. I've literally thought of it in like the last 30 seconds. But I think it's too early for Roman. I think they still have to build to that moment where it'll be like as big a pop as possible. And if you've got Rock and Cody just down and out, beaten to within an inch of their life by the Bloodline, and then Roman's music hits, dude, everyone, like, you because it leaves the possibility of, like, well, is Roman still part of the Bloodline? Is Roman siding with them? And he could come out and just be like, I'm going to beat Roman and going to go beat Rock and Cody up. And then he just turns around and just punches Solo in the face. And obviously he takes the tribal chief necklace off of him, and like the Roman can lay out all the Bloodline members. I just think that there is a bigger moment to come later down the line. I think, like I said, SummerSlam is too soon. I think there's a bigger moment to come.
Fair. It's the last stadium show of 2024.
Yep.
I'm with you. I hear you. The thing is, I feel The Rock could get involved, but I'm not quite sure how and where. Because I'm trying to think and play out this match. Because I think Roman returns. So there we go. I think Roman is going to return. He's going to have the wise man Paul Heyman. He may have Jimmy Uso as well. They may come in together because Jimmy was kicked out of this group as well. But I do think it might be more impactful if it's just Roman for now. I think then Roman can be, well, I'm here. How am I going to get the numbers up against this group? Because this group, obviously, of Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tama and Tonga Loa, and like you said, Hikuleo involved as well. I'm going to need to get some backup here. I've seen suggestions around on social media that we get the old bloodline just all turn up together. That it's Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Paul Heyman, minus Sami to come in later, I guess. But for me, my counter argument with that is like, well, hang on, where's the story? Where's Jay just turned up and come back in? I understand you can just do it and answer it later, but I think I need a bit more. We had an emotional story with Jay for such a long time. I understand he's not on this card. It's a bit criminal he's not on this card, but I need that emotion to play out to how he's going to come back in with Roman. So I need that to drag out. And for that to drag out for now and say to, I don't know, War Games, for example, in Survivor Series, I think it is the right time for Roman to return. I think I'm going to go back on what I said earlier. I said The Rock could return. He's finished filming. It would make perfect sense for both of these guys to turn up on this show. Yeah. However, we need to find a way where if there's a classic ref bump, it does actually make the most sense for Cody to be saved by Roman Reigns, the guy who he took the title from. Again, a respect factor. It's like mega powers together in 2024, Cody and Roman, almost for a second of a mutual respect. A rematch to happen further later down the line, but perhaps Cody is someone that would be aligned with Roman if needed in a 5-on-5 environment, because War Games is 5-on-5 traditionally. That's traditional what they would do. And then you can build that story the way Roman can get Jimmy back first off. Then they find a way to get Jay back and Sami back. Who, by the way, Jay and Sami could go and win the Raw Tag Team titles, the World Tag Team titles, while the current Bloodline members of Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga could hold the WWE Tag Team titles. I'm not suggesting Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series, or maybe that is what I'm suggesting. I'm not sure how we're going to quite get there with all of it, but one thing's for sure, I made a Marvel reference earlier on. It's gone on for bloody years, Marvel, with all their Avengers movies and stuff like that. Not got a problem with it. Some movies are really, really good. Some of them I'm not as much into. But WWE, if they play the cards right with this, could have their own variation of this with the Bloodline. And they're going to get more of the family in by the looks of things, the sounds of things, you can believe the rumor mill. And the question's going to be, is how long can they keep it going for? And I think they generally could keep it going for about 2 years if they played all the cards right. Between now and WrestleMania 42, I think they could play a full-on, Bloodline Avengers storyline. There we go. I'm not in Civil War anymore. It's just Bloodline Avengers.
Yeah, you're right. So your booking makes sense in terms of War Games. Totally could understand why they bring Roman back, but there is another pay-per-view between now and then that you could justify that Roman Reigns turns up at, and it's Bad Blood.
It is Bad Blood.
So there is a plethora. Like, there's so many possibilities, and it's like, my brain can't compute that this is the way it should be done. But all I know is this is the point where Cody now is going to be. Cody is like, this is where Cody's story is going to pick back up again, and people are going to start reinvesting him, because at the minute, I can understand where a lot of people come from. He's felt like a very small side part in this Bloodline story, because we've seen that. I've seen. Let's be honest. Ever since Jimmy J, Paul, Roman have all gone, Bloodline is kind of just like I'm trying to think of a spin-off of a poor faction. I wouldn't say Wolfpack. Wolfpack were cool as anything, but like, do you know what I mean? They went through the fact that they weren't drafted first, and they've gone through all the facts that no, like, you're not what they used to be, and they have to build to that moment. And that's why I think that if you bring Rock back, Cody then becomes a main focus again inside this whole Bloodline story. Rock temporarily sides with the Bloodline, and do you know what I mean? We get it down like yeah, I don't know, man. It's just going to be crazy. Like, I don't know. I think that I forget that War Games existed when I was going on my tangent a minute ago about like Rock and Roman. So I forgot that. But then you said, like you've just said, that this could go on for another 2 years. That we could get Civil War Bloodline at War Games next year. So anything can happen, dude, man. It's crazy to say that normally we can see the booking with WWE and we can kind of see where they're going, and it's like, this is the first show all year where I'm just like, I ain't got a clue. Like, this is honestly going to go somewhere. I'm here for the ride.
For me, like, yeah, I feel like I know half of the story. I'm not convinced on the other half. Well, I'm convinced on 2/3 of the story. For starters, Cody Rhodes will retain the championship. I don't see Solo getting the job done. I can see that perhaps the rest of the Bloodline is sent backstage or not allowed at ringside. They will get involved in somehow, but I think Cody overcomes it. Is that a return then of Roman Reigns? Because Solo has called out Roman. So it's a situation where actually it probably doesn't make sense in a way for The Rock to turn up just yet. But The Rock could turn up. Like you say, it's a stadium show. And if Rock wants to solidify his match with Cody Rhodes, SummerSlam's a bloody good place to do it. But at the same time, you could have Roman just return for now, and then he builds up his group to go against this group. You could have, in the meantime, for example, Cody, and then you can build Cody and Roman versus Rock and Solo, for example, further down the line, or Solo just gets Hikuleo in, for example. They build up for a War Games or not War Games match, depending on when they want to do it. But they can have a lot of fun with this. And like I said, the emotional story attachments of Roman having to fix, because everyone turned on Roman. This is the best part with this. Roman then would need these people back and would need to gain their trust again. There's emotional story attachments that people were really invested in. Yeah. And to get Jey Uso back would be the first thing. Then to return to Sami Zayn and say, Sami, come in. And these great, Cody's, Mount Everest, if you want, was Roman to finish the story. That mutual respect between those two, that's a natural start there for a 5-on-5. Cody then can go and do his thing with The Rock, for example, because that could be The Rock turns up at War Games, for example, helps the bad guys win. that's where it starts setting up Cody versus The Rock, because, you know, Rock considers himself the people's champion. He's got the title to prove it. That's how you start building that match and program to WrestleMania. And then you can start building Roman versus Solo for WrestleMania as well, whether it's through the Royal Rumble or whether it's just naturally just bloodline stuff. You know what I mean? And they can do bloodline rules.
Obviously, Rumble's in a stadium as well in Indianapolis, isn't it? So yeah, the event is there for that as well. Yeah, dude, like you said, yeah, it makes logical sense. Like, dude, it's gonna be fun to find out how they do it. Even before we started, dude, I said I've made notes for this prediction show because this show just feels like it should be something special. Like, I never make notes. I normally just come in here, I listen to what you say, I spin a couple of ideas off, and do you know what I mean? We just generally banter. But I've come in with just details and points that I wanted to get across, just because I'm so invested in how this one's going to go. Dude, it's going to be great, man. I just can't wait for Saturday now.
Can't wait either. But we're both saying Cody Rhodes. Final answer.
Absolutely, yeah. Cody Rhodes, 100%.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't wait either. I've almost felt like we're going up to a 10 as this goes along here. But a couple of comments. We're going to wrap things up in a few seconds' time, but we are going to ask you to hit the like button as well if you've enjoyed the video. Share this with a friend as well. Let them know we're here. We want this channel to grow, and I want this channel to grow. So if we can do that, I really appreciate just letting a friend know that this channel is here. If you are new watching, subscribe as well. If you are watching this on delay later in the future and you're here, thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We've got a few comments we're going to get through, and then we're just going to put a little teaser for the next SCW Rewind, all going to be done in the next 4 minutes. Sid said, are you disappointed that AJ Styles has not got a match at SummerSlam? Honestly, no, just purely because of the fact that he's not in a story to justify at this particular time.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think we all expected him to turn up at Slammiversary, and I think that's the bigger miss at the minute.
Absolutely. Shane, thank you so much. He's been here since the very start of the stream. In fact, before we even started, so thank you for being here with us. Hope you have a great night as well. Sid asking, what's the greatest storyline of all time? I think he's trolling us here with Perry Saturn and Moppy is his favourite storyline. But what do you think is the greatest storyline of all time?
Oh, dude. I mean, it's generated. It's period. Like you can go with so many. Like Austin Vince, I think for me is probably the most important because it defined an era of wrestling, and it kind of like Austin was the guy that stuck his fingers up to his boss and did a stunner to him, and it's kind of like at that period of time, everyone still does want to stick most people still want to stick their fingers up at their boss and give them a stunner, but I think I'd say Austin Vince is just the most important one in history, I imagine.
It is the right answer. I mean, there's obviously like the mega powers of Hogan and Savage. Obviously, the Bloodline has been brilliant as well. There were other ones that have gone throughout the years, but I think Austin McMahon, even if now it seems a bit, when you look back at it, it's a bit more taboo these days, but at the same time, for the time period, for what it did for the business, and ultimately probably won the Monday Night War, it's the right answer, I think. Roger says, I think Usos will be a nightmare, get involved with Roman and The Rock. They probably will at some stage. Zayn asked if we think The Rock will return at SummerSlam, which we have answered. So I've pretty much gone through all the names there. Let's just do a quick fire, though. Yes and no, just to finish off there. I will say if these people will return or not. You just say yes or no. Charlotte Flair.
Yes.
I say yes as well. Jimmy Uso.
No.
No. The Rock.
Yes.
I'm going to say no, but I'm on the fence. Again, it's another one of those 50.5, 49.5 kind of things. So I feel there's a chance The Rock could turn up here. Paul Heyman.
Maybe, possibly.
I'm going to say yes.
No. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. No. Okay, I'll say no.
I'm going to say yes. I think he'll come out first and then point, and then I think Roman's music will hit. So, the chance is the last one. Roman Reigns, yes from me.
Tentatively, I'm going to say no. I'm the same as you, 51-49 on that one. I'm going to say no.
Interesting stuff indeed. Well, that's all from us anyway. And just to let you know, SCW Rewind, you will be voting for the next show that we'll be doing. And we have purposely picked what we think are 3 bad PLEs or pay-per-views. Yeah. We've picked some that we think, arguably, 1 or 2 of them could be in the worst in history. So what I'm going to do is over the next couple of days, I'm going to introduce your options to you one at a time.
Oh,
and then we're going to put the vote out, and then you will all decide what bad show we have to watch. That's pretty much what we're going to do. It's going to be a fun time. But thanks everyone for their comments. We do appreciate everyone getting involved, and it's always great to have your interaction. And also NXT, it's always great to have you involved as well. Big thank you for being on the video.
Dude, always a pleasure. Super gassed about it. Cannot wait until we review it. Probably Sunday, because I'm too impatient. But it's whenever you're ready, dude. Just hook me up. Send me a link. I'll be here.
Sunday, I think it will be. We'll see you Sunday for that. We'll be dropping videos in the meantime of the week, and we will be doing a live watch along on Friday for Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero from SummerSlam 2005. The custody of Dominik Mysterio match. Feels quite appropriate, doesn't it? Thanks for watching. Look after yourselves. Enjoy SummerSlam. We'll see you for the review.